Welcome everybody to the Joe Lee Podcast. I'm your host, Joe, and welcome to another edition of Joe's Wrestling Reviews. This time for AEW Dynamite June 2nd, 2022. And wow, it was, you know what we're going to talk about. This was pretty much like, there's one segment here that just made the entire night. And, we're talking about MJF today. So, yeah, MJF cut literally probably the promo of the century last night. Maybe not the century. I think the pipe bomb might still be like slightly above it. But yeah, MJF cut a promo on pretty much everyone. The audience, the people backstage, the Tony Khan. So it was definitely interesting to hear what he had to say. We're gonna go over the transcript of what's gonna happen, but before we get to that, thank you for everyone who's subscribed recently or been bringing some views. A lot of the videos are doing pretty good, and clearly you guys want to see some more of the Super Juniors action. So I'm not up to date on what's going on, but I will have a video kind of recapping everything that's happened in the Best of Super Juniors tournament. So look out for that. Subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying the content. It does really help out the channel. Hit the like button, and yeah, let's get into it. All right. We're in LA, obviously. So the first match to open is CM Punk and FTR versus Max Caster and the Ass Boys. So it was quite funny. At least the beginning of it, because CM Punk comes out and he gets all the cheers and stuff. So does FTR. But then the Acclaim come out and they start doing their rhymes. They reference Amber Heard. It's freaking hilarious. And then Bowens goes, LA. And so the Acclaimed and the Ass Boys have arrived. And then he goes, I want to hear you say Ass Boys. And then the crowd goes, Ass Boys. So it was quite the energy. You could feel it at the beginning of the show. So great way to honestly open it. So let's get into the match. Dax and one of the Ass Boys lock up. I believe this is Austin Gunn. One of them Austin pushes him into the corner, then chops him. They run the ropes, and then FTR gets an elbow lariat on him. Dax tags in Cash. They run some tag team maneuver. They do some tag team maneuvers on them. But Austin is able to tag in Colton Gunn. Cash dodges some moves by him, and then Cash ends up getting a back body drop, and then gets several arm locks and turns it into a lock of sorts. Colton is able to put Cash, push Cash away, and gets a tag from Max Caster. Cash gets a wrist lock on Max Caster and then tags in Punk, and then the crowd goes wild. So they really wanted to see CM Punk. Punk with some punches, but then gets distracted by the crowd, and this allows Caster to get into their corner. Punk gets kicked, and then he's able to escape it and turn into a crossbody. Gets a wrist lock, and then gets a power slam on Max Caster. Max gets a back body drop, tags Austin Gunn in. They beat down on Cash Wheeler in the corner, and then they tag in Colton Gunn. The Ass Boys deliver two slams and a drop kick, and then Colton gets a 2 count. Max gets tagged in and gets Cash on the ropes, but then Billy Gunn gets a right hand in while he's hanging from the second rope, and this gets them a 2 count. The referee is looking away for some reason. Dax tries to get the hot tag by laying everyone out in the ring, but the Ass Boys trip the people that are in the apron. So basically, both of them pull their legs out, so he's not able to get the count. They kick down Dax and then go for the pinfall, but only get a 2. This takes us into commercials. When we return, Max Caster's in the ring. He looks for a sharpshooter, but Dax gets a hot tag on Punk. He handles both the Ass Boys and Cash. And then gets a back body drop on Austin and Max. Billy Gunn tries to interfere, but Punk just power bombs Austin onto Billy Gunn. Then hits the GTS, gives the setup for the big rig, and FTR get the pin for the win. Post-match, Punk gets on the mic and says he has never done drugs, but if he did, he assumed that this is what the high would feel like because he's the new AEW World Champion. And he has got to get better, and he has to fix a lot of mistakes. So probably acknowledging that he's not like a lot of the mistakes that happened in the match, on this match, because there were a couple botches, and maybe some of the horrible buckshot lariats he did during Double or Nothing. Dax says pro wrestling is one of the best things in the world, and being ROH is one of the best feelings along with having a family. They call out New Japan Pro Wrestling or anyone in the back, and then CM Punk says they have to sell tickets to Forbidden Door. Actually, they don't sell pay-per-views for Forbidden Door. And then he asks who's gonna challenge him. Hiroshi Tanahashi answers the call. So now we have our first confirmed match for Forbidden Door, which will probably be the main event because you always have the AEW Championship go last. So we have CM Punk versus Hiroshi Tanahashi in the main event for Forbidden Door. It's set for June 26th, so should be a good one. We'll have the review right here on the Jolie podcast. MJF addresses the AEW audience. Now this was the pretty much the thing that lingered all night. It made Twitter go wild. It made the WWE marks go wild. So yeah, I'm gonna read it word for word because it's such a good promo that it deserves that. So Max says, "I'm in a lot of pain right now after what happened on Sunday, but y'all want to hear me talk, right? That's what you want, right? You want to hear me talk." And then he throws his scarf away. But this is Max Friedman talking. "Big merger, boss. Lots of important executives here tonight to watch your product. Would be a real shame if something bad happened. I wouldn't want to embarrass you, man. Speaking of embarrassing, you've been trying to sit down with me to hash things out for quite some time, haven't you? Well, guess what? Too little, too late. Here's why. When this company first started, it was All Friends Wrestling." This is a reference to like some backstage stuff that was being said when All Elite Wrestling was started. So if you didn't know, they call it All Friends Wrestling, and here's why. MJF says, "Everyone was handed a ticket. Except for me, I had to write my own." And this is referencing that anyone who was a friend with the Young Bucks in the indie scene was probably hired in All Elite Wrestling. "And boy, do I have good penmanship, because I've created a moment after moment after moment for this company, and I still get no respect. Nobody is on my level. No one. Everything I touch is gold. There is nothing I can't do. Every time I come out here, I'm expected to hit home runs. I'm not expected to hit home runs. I'm expected to hit grand slams, and I do that shit on a weekly basis. See, all the other boys have to settle for being great. I have to be perfect because I'm 26-year-old who is constantly held under a microscope because I'm the only guy who is capable of carrying this company on my back, as I have for months. It's funny that I hear boos, but I also hear claps. That's interesting. Where were you guys this whole weekend when you were calling me an unprofessional POS? I'm just curious. You're not the only problem. It's the boys in the back too. The boys in the back all want my spot. Guess what? You want my spot? You can have it because I don't want to be here anymore. Now let's talk about you fans, huh? You people call yourselves fans? You're not fans. You're uneducated marks. You sit here on your phones, tweeting out your opinions like you're worth a dang. Let me explain something to you people. You don't know shit. Your opinions suck. Your opinions change at the drop of a dime. Then you pretend that your new opinions match your old opinions. For example, man, I always knew MJF was a great wrestler. Really now? That's interesting because the last time I checked, you guys pretended I sucked in the ring for a long time, and that And why is that, huh? Because I'm not untrained like your faves? Because I don't pretend to watch New Japan? Because I don't bump my opponents on their head? Because I'm not reckless? What is it? Because I'm not chasing star ratings? What is it? How could I possibly be the best? Well, newsflash, I am the best. I am the best in the world because I'm the only guy who makes you feel. And unlike the other boys, I don't have to do a bunch of BS to get you there. I am a generational talent and you people constantly take me for granted. But it's not just you, it's the big man in the back too. And this really got the audience. This really got the audience. Here's something you guys can't take for granted. Here's something he doesn't want you to know. Do you know who is the second biggest minute-for-minute draw in this entire company? Nope. You wish. It's me. It's me. And if you don't believe me, ask Stat Boy Tony in the back and see what he's got to say. But whatever you do, don't ask him to reach in his pockets and pay the man who's been busting his ass for him since day one. No. Make sure he hoards all that money. Make sure he hoards all the money so he can make sure to give it to all the new ex-WWE guys he keeps bringing in that can't lace my boots. And my goodness, the arena exploded off of this. I mean, just the mention of the word WWE, you know, they've been pretty sly about not saying WWE outright every time they've taken a dig. And, you know, it's not something like you can, that it's like forbidden, like you can't mention another company. It's simply they save it for moments like this. If you don't hear it at all, you're not desensitized of the fact of hearing it. So the fact that they saved this for I don't know how long, they've never said WWE on television, but the fact that they said it here right now, dude, crazy reaction by the crowd. Hey boss, would you treat me better if I were an ex-WWE guy? See, maybe you don't get it, man. Here's the problem with you, boss. You got a position of power in a wrestling company when the only position you should be assuming is behind the guardrail with all of them. I don't want to wait till 2024, meaning his contract, but you won't listen to me, so allow me to make it a little easier for you. Tony Khan, I want you to fire me. Don't count me down, you POS. Shut your mouth. Tony, look at me. I want you to fire me, you effing mark. Fire me. Then he starts saying some more stuff, and the mic goes silent. Wow. There's a lot there. There's a lot. And this definitely has parallels to the CM Punk pipe bomb. I mean, now they're calling it the MJF pipe bomb. And I know I said in probably a previous review when we were doing the MJF and CM Punk storyline that was probably one of the best promos ever. But this hands down is either number 1 or number 2. The only reason it's solid number 2 right now, we'll see how it ages. But the only reason it's a solid number 2 right now is because it parallels CM Punk's pipe bomb promo for his feud against John Cena way too much. And you know, something I didn't mention on the Sunday pay-per-view, because I mean that review was super long, and I started with MJF and then I finished with CM Punk, and I forgot to mention MJF again, and I'm gonna say it right now, is that I could see MJF being upset that CM Punk is the champion, and this is what has him kind of like all riled up, that CM Punk is the one on the poster board. And you know what, like, CM Punk winning the championship makes sense now, because the more you look at it, the more parallels we have to John Cena and CM Punk. MJF here is assuming the role of CM Punk back in 2012. I believe that's when the feud was. Correct me if I'm wrong. And CM Punk is assuming the role of John Cena here. And, you know, it's funny because MJF had mentioned this in the past in one of his promos, that CM Punk might as well just be preaching hustle, loyalty, and respect. And here we are. Someone pointed this out on Twitter. It's funny that CM Punk is the champion now, because when he was younger and he was going up against John Cena, he was advocating that 43-year-old John Cena shouldn't be the champion. And now CM Punk is the 43-year-old champion, and MJF is the new rising star. So it's like, wow, like we're running like parallels to those storylines right now. And it's great because, I mean, CM Punk can still wrestle and MJF can still wrestle, and they have great in-ring chemistry together. So this, like, it's kind of like history repeating itself. And that's just like a really good thing to be happening. Do I see this match being soon? Maybe. We'll have to see. I mean, we first have to find out like how this MJF Tony Khan relationship happens. I do expect to see him on television, Tony Khan. So I don't know. We'll have to see, but holy cow, what a promo. That definitely was the promo of the decade, in my opinion. There hasn't been anything that's come near that. So kudos to MJF for that performance. I'm assuming he probably re-signed a new contract, or he signed the extension, because look, there's no way they're gonna send him out there and let them say all those things. I mean, if you remember the Punk pipe bomb, he was still working on that contract at the time. So I mean, that could also be happening right now. But yeah, we got worked over the weekend, and I'm not afraid to admit that, you know, whatever opinions about MJF I said were totally wrong. I'm not gonna be the Mark that he talks about, even though I probably am Mark. I'm gonna try not to be the Mark and say that my previous opinion were just as valid as my opinions now. My opinions are wrong, and they could be wrong in the future too. But you know, that's just wrestling for you. It's always changing. Opinions are always changing. It is what it is. So, yeah. Let's move on. Get the rest of the show covered as well. Johnny Elite versus a mystery opponent. Then we get before the match starts, we get a promo with Miro. And thank goodness Miro is back. He says that it's been a long time, and he's here to help AEW and to redeem them. He says he's disappointed with his God, and he is coming to take his home, implying his God's home, which is interesting. So yeah, the match is Johnny Elite versus Miro. Now, there's something I'd like to point out that is hilarious, is that MJF references all these ex-WWE guys, and the match that follows his promo, are two ex-WWE guys. I think it was completely on purpose, and I'm here for it. All right, let's start. Match begins. Johnny tries some kicks on Miro, and then Miro ends up just clotheslining him. Johnny Elite stomps on him and tries to strike him down in the corner. Johnny Elite gets some body shots in, and then again they go to the opposite corner. Miro gets a side suplex in on him, and this takes us to commercials. Like, literally, there was not much to talk about here. When we return, Johnny Elite runs the rope, but Miro spikes him down. Miro looks for the kick that sets up his finishing maneuver. Johnny Elite hits a roundhouse kick. They fight in the corner. Johnny Elite hits a springboard boot, follows it with a standing shooting star press, but Miro kicks out at one. Johnny Elite looks for some twisting 450 maneuver, and then Miro kicks him down mid-air, signals for the game over, and gets him to tap out. So Johnny Elite not actually doing much, and I'm not gonna lie, Johnny Elite, he's way past his time in my opinion. Is he a good talent to have around? Absolutely. I think he's going to fill that Sean Spears role perfectly, where he is a credible opponent to fight against, but he's not really going to be winning like major championships. Maybe as a fill-in for the TNT championship, but that card kind of looks stacked, especially with Miro coming back. So Johnny Elite as like a kind of like an enhancement talent, I think it's going to be good. I think that's kind of the role that fits him, and putting over new stars is probably the objective with him. At least that's what I would assume. I don't think he's going to be winning anything anytime soon. The only thing I don't want is for him to get like no TV time. I'm hoping he's not actually signed and he's more like a case by case basis. So we'll have to see how that develops. All right, Jericho Appreciation. I don't know why I keep saying association. Jericho Appreciation Society. Jericho cuts off Judas mid-song. The crowd, JAS called the crowd the AEW Galaxy, which I always find hilarious, and then asked them to appreciate them in like the same like tone like Roman Reigns would say, "Acknowledge me." He says, "Appreciate us." Oh, that's hilarious. Jericho says they don't deserve to sing Judas. They deserve the winners of the Anarchy at the arena match. Jericho says that Eddie Kingston is a lunatic since he tried to burn him alive. He calls Danielson trash and reiterates that I'm going to kick your head in. Jericho says sports entertainers always win. And then Eddie Kingston comes out with William Regal. William Regal says Eddie will fight them in blood and guts. And then Jericho beats down... and then Jericho Appreciation Society beats down on Kingston. Ortiz comes from the back and cuts off a strand of Jericho's hair. Jericho says they will get blood and guts under one condition, that they will get a match of... that he gets a match against Ortiz, hair versus hair, cabello por cabello, because I think it's a Mexican thing. And then, yeah, we're going to get blood and guts, which they announced later in the show. It'll be the 29th, which I believe is a Dynamite, because I think that's like 3 days after Forbidden Door. So we're going to get Forbidden Door, and then we're going to get blood and guts, which, you know what? I'm here for it. That's going to be an amazing week to cover wrestling. All right, backstage, we're showing a video of Satnam Singh, Jay Lethal, and I can't remember the bald guy's name, but they're pretty much beating down on Samoa Joe after his match with Cole. That's it. There was nothing else. Undisputed Elite and Hikuleo minus Adam Cole, baby, versus the Hardys, Darby Allin, and Jurassic Express. There was not much. I mean, it was a good match. There was not much to cover here. Undisputed Elite ended up getting the win. It was pretty much a run-of-the-mill 5-man tag. Like, there was a lot of things that my notes honestly don't cover all too well. So, I mean, Hikuleo was a standout here. I love seeing him. He's such a good big man. I'm hoping he gets more time in New Japan to shine. I know he's doing he's on that American show that they have on New Japan World, which I don't watch because I think the production is a little too low quality for me. But I know that they've been having some good stuff on there. So if you don't mind the production value being a little low, I suggest going and watching some of Hikuleo's stuff. I like the dude. He has a ton of potential. He's still in Bullet Club. And so, yeah, good. Yeah, Undisputed Elite win here. And I'm surprised we didn't get any more setup for Bullet Club versus Undisputed Elite storyline here. So we're going to have to wait to see more of that. All right. Backstage, I mean, this was a really weird segment. Swerve and Lee addressed the AEW crowd and said that they will dominate in tag team and singles competition. But we get like a bunch of like, I guess, producers or rappers. I really don't know who these people were. And they hand Swerve Scott a jacket, and that was it. Again, I have no idea who these people are. I just hope that we get some more Keith Lee and Swerve in-ring action. All right, Tony Schiavone and Athena. Tony says Athena didn't back down, reiterates that she is all elite. She addresses Jade Cargill and says that she will break her streak and that she is the fallen goddess. Jade says to cut the shit and says that she is that B. And then Stokely doesn't interrupt her, but starts talking and says that it's a shame that Athena cut him off at Double or Nothing. And that Jade is a queen and a goddess and the TBS champion. Jade says Athena isn't getting the match, and then we get a confrontation between the baddies and Athena, Statlander, and AJ. Pretty run-of-the-mill, nothing too crazy here. Wardlow versus JD Drake. Possible miscue when he's coming out to the ramp. I mean, he got the Wardlow chance before his music hits, but yeah, his music hits like at the last minute, and I mean, nothing really. I thought we were going to get a new theme song, but we didn't. And so, yeah, the music just plays like way later than it should. And that's it. JD, this is like 2 lines of a match. JD Drake chops him, tries to hit a lariat. Wardlow spears him in the corner and slams him down, hits the symphony and wins. That's it. That's all that happened. It was a really short match. Post-match, Smart Mark Sterling comes out and he brings a lawsuit. He sends one of the security guards in there. He says that the Security Association of Pro Wrestlers, something like that, is suing Wardlow. And then he legitimately just beats up the security guard that comes in. And then he tears up the lawsuit and like shoves it in the guy's mouth. Yeah. American Top Team addressed Dante Martin. Scorpio Sky says that Dante Martin has a lot of potential, but none of that potential can help him win or come close to as good as he is. Dante Martin comes out and says that he is better than Scorpio Sky and that he will show him on Rampage. Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, Jamie Hayter versus Tony Storm and Ruby Soho. Forearms and stomping in the corner by Tony to start the match on Britt. Britt rolls out and shows off the Owen Cup belt. There's some miscue by DMD and Hayter, and Ruby gets tagged. Ruby gets a tag in, and they both and Tony and her deliver kicks. Soho gets driven into the corner, and then Hayter is tagged in. Britt gets a twisting neck breaker, and then we go to on the outside, and then we go to commercials. When we return, Britt is looking for a butterfly suplex, but Soho gets away and hits a Saito suplex. Tags Tony in, and Britt tags in Hayter. They fight and roll on the outside. Hayter DDTs Tony. Soho hits a flying crossbody, and DMD hits a sling blade. And then Hayter sets up foot stomps on Soho. Storm suplexes DMD, and Hayter gets a backbreaker on Soho. She tags in Britt and then looks for Pittsburgh Sunrise. Hits a butterfly suplex instead, and then Soho hits No Future for a 2 count. Britt gets in the lockjaw. Soho reverses it. Hayter breaks it up. Tony takes care of Hayter, and Soho hits Destination Unknown on Britt for the 3 count. Hayter and Britt lay out Tony and Soho with the belt, and that takes us to commercials again. Why this match was on here, I don't know. I am fairly disappointed we did not get Thunder Rosa here, and I will complain about that a little bit later. Daniel Garcia and John Moxley. Arm and elbow tie-up, chops in the corner for Mox. Mox drives him into the corner, and after running the rope, Garcia tries to chop Mox to no avail. They exchange palm strikes, as said by Regal, because they didn't want to call them chops. Garcia with a figure 4 leg lock, but it's reversed not reversed, but there's a rope break. Mox starts bleeding from an open wound from War Games, from Double or Nothing. Mox goes up to the top rope, but Garcia meets him there and bites him. Garcia suplexes Mox for the 2 count. They go to the outside. Mox sets up the steel steps and suplex flips Garcia. So he kind of has his headlock right here, and then he like suplexes up and then like flips him over. Mox sets up Garcia on the top rope, suplexes him, then gets an elbow into a sleeper, but Garcia rolls it into elbow strikes from him. He gets the Jujigatami in and then turns it into an STF style hold. Mox rolls out and then Mox gets a German suplex. Then Garcia gets his own suplex in and pile drives Mox, then gets a sharpshooter in. But Mox is able to get out of it and get a chokehold in, turns it into a roll-up. Garcia turns it into a roll-up. They strike each other, and then they run the ropes into a drop kick, and then Mox ends up rolling out. Garcia gets a chokehold and drives Mox through a table. So, like, Garcia jumps on Mox's back, and then, like, he kind of, like, piggyback carries him through a table. Jericho tries to interfere, but this gives Mox the window to hit the paradigm shift, and he gets him in the bulldog hold for the win. Post-match, Moxley says he is in for blood and guts, and it is scheduled for June 29th of this month, so it should be a good one. Yeah, decent show. There was a lot of good stuff here. There was a lot of stuff here too. Mainly this women's tag match. I would have much rather see Thunder Rosa in some sort of segment, which is weird because if this was supposed to be a showcase of all of the Warner Media corporate people, I'm surprised that they didn't have Thunder Rosa there. Like, talk about diversity, right? I mean, the Mexican female wrestler. Like, I don't understand what it is about not having Thunder Rosa on the show. She is so good. Give her mic time. Set her up the challenge. I mean, I know that there's nothing for her as far as Forbidden Door build because New Japan doesn't have a women's division. They have a partner company named Stardom. But I don't know. I feel like we're missing the women's champion here. And I like that they're giving Jade Cargill time because her stories also need to develop. But the women's world championship is far more important than the TBS championship. So again, this is my only gripe with the show. My only gripe is that we don't get enough women's matches as far as the world championship. So, yeah. But other than that, great show. Amazing promo by MJF. I cannot wait for the build for the rest of this match. Content coming up this week. Friday, I will be doing a video regarding the Kota Ibushi situation. Please be aware that it is a sensitive topic, and I will put a trigger warning at the beginning of the video as well. So it is a messy situation. This probably means we are not getting Ibushi at Forbidden Door. So if you're an Ibushi fan hoping that he gets a match with someone, probably not happening. Yeah, best of Super Juniors coverage. Maybe I'll do a video. I think I'm gonna do a video that maybe goes up Sunday. So yeah, and if there's any other news that breaks throughout the week, because the wrestling world is crazy, if there's a big news story, I will definitely be covering it. All right, for Just Finesse, this is the Jolie Podcast, Just Wrestling Reviews, AEW Dynamite. I will see you next week.